This is a 2006 BMW M6, known for its glorious 5-litre naturally aspirated S85 V10 engine that sings to over 8,000 RPM at its redline. This, when it came out, was widely considered to be one of the best performance cars, and it's still coveted even today. Despite patchy reliability, enthusiasts still love this car for its engine, which was also featured in the M5 at the time. When this launched in the mid-2000s, it was an absolute triumph. Everyone who reviewed it said one thing, and that is that glorious peachy engine. There's not many V10 cars out there. There were some Lamborghinis at the time, and then later there was also the Lexus LFA, but you can get one of these now for a reasonable price. They're about 80 to 90,000 pound when new, but you can find them around the 15 to 20,000 pound mark now on the used market. So should you invest your money in one of these before it's too late, or is it going to be a money pit? Well, I've borrowed this one from Joel on YouTube today, so big thanks to him for lending me his pride and joy, and I'm going to take it out on the road, give you a full tour and see what you think. But before we do that, if you're looking to make buying and selling cars really easy, CarWow affiliate link in the description below will make it so easy to sell your car. Just punch in the reg, they'll give you a valuation and do it from your home. And if you're looking to buy a car, Players Cars Premium will be able to sort you out, again, remotely from home, no pesky emails, WhatsApp 24/7, free home delivery, and as low as 7.8% APR finance. So one of the best in the country right now. So if you're looking to buy or sell, links below. So then, the M6, this is the E63 generation, which is the coupe. They also did a convertible as well, which is a much rarer beast. Launched in the mid-2000s. This one sold from about 2005. This one I've got here is a 2006 model. It's basically the high-performance version of the 6 Series of the crisp angle design era. And some people love the design, some people hate it. I'm kind of mixed about it. I think it's aged fairly well, actually, this design and this design language from BMW of this era. I think actually they don't look as old as they are, so that's always a positive. So there's various different specifications this could be had in terms of obviously your paints, your interiors and that kind of thing. Quite a lot of different bits, and this one has a carbon roof as well and some carbon interior trim, which is really cool. But the real star of the show is that S85 engine. It's a 5-litre naturally aspirated V10 with just over 500 horsepower, which peaks at around 7,750 RPM. So you do have to ring it out being an NA engine, and it redlines at about 8,250. Top speed electronically limited to 155 mile an hour and 0 to 60 in around about 4.5 seconds, 383 foot-pounds of torque, so a fair bit there as well. And the UK transmission was a 7-speed SMG, so it's a paddle shift, but it's an automated manual with a clutch, so it is quite a jerky transmission around town and that kind of thing, so that's something to bear in mind. They're also known to be relatively unreliable. Not only this engine, but also this gearbox are known to have lots of faults, and you'll often see, if you look these up on YouTube, especially this owner Joel, he's already done a lot of mechanical work to this car. So this obviously shared the engine with the M5, which was the saloon of this era. I do think that this looks better, but the M5 definitely is a little bit more special in a way because you can actually fit, you know, full family in the car and that kind of thing. Fuel economy, also fairly horrific. Obviously being a V10 engine, expect between 15 to 20 mpg. This one is currently showing 14 mpg average. It is a fairly heavy car, around 1,770 kilos, but it's definitely not as heavy as some more modern counterparts. And obviously BMW are really good in terms of the way they handle the chassis and kind of deliver the power as well. So it's still got fairly good reviews in terms of its driving dynamics. Standard interior features were also really high tech for 2006. So you had BMW's kind of first iteration of the iDrive infotainment system with built-in navigation, head-up display, dual-zone climate control and electric seats and so on. I'll go into that as we do a tour of the car. But yeah, at the time it was kind of compared to like the Porsche 911, Mercedes CL63, that kind of thing. So definitely an interesting alternative. So once again, I just want to thank Joel for lending me the car. I really do appreciate it. You'll probably hear the V8. He is actually over there filming the Lexus LC500 that I have on loan this week. So the key thing to look out for with this engine is rod bearing wear, and then there is also clutch wear on the SMG gearbox, which is very common on these automated manuals, and of course high service costs. Being a V10, you have more parts, 10 spark plugs, 10 throttle bodies, etc. But yeah, let's have a little look around it. And this design, like I said, I think has held up fairly well over the years. Obviously this isn't mint, but it is quite nice. This example, it's in a sort of metallic black colour. You've got that really curved front end that you had of the 6 Series at the time, and you can see the number plate on this one is really cool as well. V10 dumb, I love that. So you can also see the massive area behind the kind of the bumper here that gets the radiator. So actually the engine is fairly far back, which is quite a good thing in terms of the weight and handling dynamics. And we've got obviously some kind of real ventilation and stuff down here, and this one has xenon lights as well, which is pretty cool. with washer jets, so yeah, that was a fairly cool thing to have at that era. Down the side here, you've got the little side vent with the indicators with the all-important M6 badge. You can see a bit worn on this one. And these famous wheels, these are the 19-inch alloys that came on the M6. You could also get these, I believe, on the M5 as well. And you can see we've got some nice drilled brakes behind there as well, so pretty decent brake setup on here. As you can imagine, needs quite a bit of stopping power. Thankfully this one wrapped in Pilot Sport 4S tyres, so Joel has maintained it nicely, which is always good. As we head down the side of the car here, like I say, the profile I think has aged pretty well. It's a very sort of svelte coupe, and it's got the big kind of bubble butt. This is the thing that some people didn't like of this era. You've got this kind of big sort of chunky lip at the back here that goes into these really swoopy rear lights, but this one has the kind of the more LED style lights, unlike the cheaper 6 Series models. And then you've also got these wonderful quad exhausts down here, so again lines up with that plate nicely. And you can see as well, as part of the M6 rear bumper design, you've actually got a proper scoop at the bottom there as well for aerodynamics, which is pretty cool, the fact that that is actually a functional element. So yeah, kind of on the fence about this, but I think it looks really cool. So being compared to like a Porsche 911, that kind of thing, this is a little bit more wafty, but also obviously the engine is a very different setup to what you would have had in one of those. It's also worth pointing out this one does have the full carbon roof. Needs a bit of work. It seems to have kind of not necessarily lack appeal as such, but it's got a bit faded over the years in the sun. But that is a real carbon roof, which is nice to see. There's some other carbon fiber elements on this car as well. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think about this design. The wheels are what's iconic for me. This is what really makes it stand out as an M6 rather than just your standard 6 Series. But it is quite subtle as well, isn't it? There's nothing too crazy about this design, which I think is what has made it age quite well. It's not got any crazy spoilers or anything really wacky. It's just got a very subtle lip spoiler and then a different rear bumper design. So let's head inside the M6 then, and I'll give you a tour. So it has handles that lift upwards, which is quite cool, and then the windows drop because they are frameless windows. And then as we head inside the famous BMW interior, you're probably very familiar with the dials and the way this thing looks based on other BMWs that you may have seen, and it's very, very familiar indeed to me. So as we head onto the door, we've got a leather wrapped portion. This is all leather and it has nice stitching, leather on the door here. This isn't very squishy though, so not very comfortable for your elbow, and your standard door handle and window switch controls there. A lot of these are equipped with Harman Kardon audio as well, and then in this one you've got a door pocket down here. It's got a little kind of coin tray, no bottle storage though, unfortunately, but it is obviously quite a narrow door. And as we head inside, you can see we have the M6 sill plate, which is really cool, and then we have the sports seats. So these have like a little seatbelt hook on them, and then they've got memory and electric function down there, as well as kind of your lumbar control and also side bolster control as well, so you can actually adjust the intensity of those bolsters, which is a nice touch. And we've got a manual handbrake in there, which is a nice and welcome addition. So let's hop in and give you a closer look. Let's shut the door. And for 2006, this is a bit of a tech fest, and this one is heightened, I think, by the fact you've got the carbon trim in here. So this gloss carbon, I do think, makes a nice difference. It really lifts the cabin, makes it look a bit special in my opinion. And then of course you have the BMW M dials, which are just iconic, aren't they? You can see we've got the 200-mile-an-hour point on that one there, 13.7 mpg. You've got the readout for the gear select, and also you can change the velocity or ferocity, I guess, of the gear changes. And then you've got the rev counter there, which revs all the way up to over 8,000. At the moment, you can see we've got the soft limiter on just below 7 because the car is not warm. But yeah, very iconic display there. And you also have on this one as well a head-up display. So that changes when you press the M button on the dashboard. That changes, the traction control goes off, so that changes to an actual physical rev counter, which is pretty cool, and that's something that's only accessible in the M mode. So on the right hand side you have your usual BMW controls and your start stop engine button. The key slots in the side here, and then you've got the BMW M steering wheel. So this has paddles which are mounted to the steering wheel. They're kind of old fashioned, they feel a little bit clunky, quite high travel, not the best quality, a bit plasticky, but it's cool that they're there. And then you've also got a programmable button and the M button. Now the M button is the one that gives you kind of more access to the sporty mode, and it changes the gearbox into its more ferocious setting and turns off the traction control. So this is like your kind of, you know, go all out mode, if you like. You've also got some media controls on the left hand side, but that is pretty much it, nice and basic. You've then got your cruise control stalk down here. Everything is pretty well damped, But it does, however, have the indicator stalk, which Jeremy Clarkson so hated, where it will return to the middle without self-cancelling, and you have to either self-cancel or it will do it itself. But it can be a little bit annoying to use because it returns to centre every time. Other things to point out, in the M6 you do have a full kind of Alcantara suede headliner, which is lovely, and that carries on onto these visors as well, which is a nice touch. Feels nice and high quality. And then up here you've just got your normal little puddle reading lights. View out the back is fairly generous with that large rear window, but you've got that big pillar at the side there. But you know what, it's not terrible. And the mirrors, whilst they're a bit of a weird shape, they do provide a decent view out of the side as well. Coming down the middle, this is where things are very typically BMW. You've got your standard vents and your climate controls, so physical climate controls, which actually have like a temperature dial on them, which is really nice. But just look at this carbon, it's glorious, isn't it? Air conditioning stuff here. You've got your CD changer here and DVD in this one as well. You can also watch DVDs in there. Then down here we've got your heated seat controls and your parking sensors, and there is also a little pull-out area for your smoking stuff, and also you can obviously plug in a cigarette lighter in there or power. And this one is the selector for the SMG gearbox. Now the way this works, effectively it's like a little stubby gear knob here, and it's currently in the normal drive or sport mode. You can also use it as a sequential gearbox, so to pull up and down, which is pretty cool. And then you can go across to neutral, or then into reverse like that, or you can put it into manual mode. So there's a few different things to choose from. So you're meant to leave it in neutral for the most part. And then this button down here changes the kind of how ferocious those gear changes are and how responsive it is. So there's a couple of different settings, and then there is one final setting which is unlocked when you press the M mode on the steering wheel. You've also got controls for your traction control down here as well, and the power button. Talking about reliability, I've literally been sat here doing nothing and I've just had parking sensor failure, bong up. Wonderful. So you've also got this power button which unleashes the full potential of the car. So when you first turn the car on, it has around 400 horsepower. When you press the power button, it gives you the full sort of 507. So you have to press that, which is pretty cool. You've also then got this control here, which is for your BMW iDrive system. So it's not a touchscreen, it is an old system, and it kind of swivels and clicks and turns in different directions and does different things. So at the moment it's just showing the CD. You can change the tracks and that kind of thing, but this is the main screen, so I can go over into climate controls and it will give me some information about that. It's quite a slow system. You've also got navigation here, so again something that you can actually sort of plumb in and use, but very old-fashioned. Entertainment, you've then got your CD, you've also got the TV and aux as well. And then communication, you can pair up your phone and that kind of thing. I can press down in the middle to bring up the kind of the car's settings. So at the moment it's showing traction is off, EDC is in sport mode. It's also quite weird how this responds electronically. So at the moment I can't go any higher than selecting 6 gears, so it won't actually let me spin it. But then, so as I scroll down, it's when I get to the bottom it won't let me spin it anymore. And the same when I get to the top, it then won't let me spin it anymore. So it gives you kind of haptic feedback, which is pretty cool. It's something I didn't know about before getting in the car. There's also a button here which allows you to change what the power button does. So not an awful lot that you can do with it, but it's a really cool system for 2006. It was really ahead of its time. And then over here, we've got a fairly generously sized glove box as well, which has got some CDs in it for the journeying. And then under here, we've also got a storage for pen, mobile phone holder, or car phone holder, should I say, and then some additional kind of storage under there with an aux input as well. And then there is also an adjustment for this armrest to go up and down. Nothing too exciting to see in the back, although the legroom is actually better than you might expect being a car of this size. And you've got some more carbon trim back there and your speakers. There's no crazy kind of features back there, just your standard seat belts. You do, however, have some coat hooks built into the headliner there, and that section in the middle is removable for pass-through if you need it. Bit worrying also how there's an OBD computer in here. For comedic effect, I'm going to try and get into the back of the M6, and to be fair, it's not terrible back there. This seat here is actually in quite a reclined position, so if I move that into a sort of reasonable spot, let's see if I can fit in here. Yeah, I can still pretty much fit here. So let's see. It actually looks like a reasonable amount of legroom, surprisingly, there. So let me just fold myself in. Let's see. Actually, you know what? That's not bad. Let me get my phone out and I can show you what it looks like. It's actually not the worst. I mean, I wouldn't like to stay back here, and I have effectively no headroom. I have to kind of squat a little bit, but yeah, considering I'm 6 foot and I can sort of fit behind myself, that's not the worst, is it? Right, first things first then, let's just fire it up and hear that noise, shall we? Nice. Now, obviously this is an automated manual gearbox, as I mentioned, so it can feel a little bit clunky at times. How do I just okay stuff and stop it from bonging at me? You have to bear with me with the wind for a second because I just want to hear this car a little bit. I'm currently like in its sloppiest mode. This engine, very responsive, and I can tell straight away, even from pooling around at low speed, this steering has so much texture through it. It's very typical BMW. Nice driving position, I can rest my elbows if I'm cruising, got a decent view out as well. Yeah, it's a really comfortable car so far. Right, let's give it some here. Yeah, that gearbox though is very, very slow to respond. It sounds awesome though. You can see me being lurched around, and that is on one of its more responsive settings as well, believe it or not. Put it back over into drive mode and poodle along for just a second. So far what I can tell you is the texture through the wheel is fantastic, as you would expect, of course, in any BMW. But that sound, it's just such a nice experience. It's just a shame that it's mated to such an old sloppy box. And I mean, I guess some of that is the appeal of it, right? The fact that you get a bit of a thump in the back every time you change gear and so on. But at the same time, I think that with a modern box, it would feel just absolutely sensational. And there are people out there doing dual clutch box conversions in these, using like the DCTs from the newer M3s and that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's a very expensive proposition, but yeah, it's cool that that sort of thing does exist for sure. So what I'm going to do now is also put it into M mode, and I'm going to press power, put it onto the most powerful setting. So this is all 507 horsepower now, but I wanted to do that just so that I can access the most responsive gearbox setting and see if that makes much of a difference. Put the passenger window down a bit here as well. Let's go over into manual mode, into first. Oh, it sounds awesome, doesn't it? Oh, you really get a kick in the backside when that happens. Let's just go for another pull like that again. Oh, it's quite funny actually. But it is good that you can kind of put it down into a, you know, if I put the setting right down into like a lazier mode, oh, it's really slow. So, yeah, that's a little bit annoying actually. So I can understand why people put it up into the, you know, maximum attack mode. But yeah, in drive, obviously it's going to be a little bit more refined. It's not going to be quite as ridiculous, but there's loads of texture, loads and loads of texture. I'll crack at the windows here, I'm sorry, but I've just got to. Blimey. Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit too far. That's very aggressive on the shifts. So I can see why. Let's come out of M mode so that we've got traction back on. And yeah, in auto, I mean, you can just cruise along in it, you know, it can be a GT car if you want it to be, don't get me wrong. And it's fairly comfortable. I mean, I do feel a lot of texture below me. Obviously the MPG is absolutely horrendous. I'm currently achieving 12 MPG, 12. That's just not daily drivable, is it? But let's give it a little bit of a squirt up this road. This is a pretty awesome road here. Interestingly, it does like to hang the gears a little bit as well when you're just pooling around. So I'm doing 30 at the moment, and we're currently in third doing 2,500. So yeah, it's quite interesting that it doesn't like to shift up. It's not like a kind of a ZF torque converter where it wants to be in the highest gear possible. This kind of just keeps it in a decent range, which probably doesn't help the fuel economy a little bit, but it does help if you suddenly need a little squirt of power. Which is always good. It does feel like an old BMW in here, in that it's cozy, it's quite a nice atmosphere, quite a nice place to sit and spend some time. You know, I love that idle sound as well. It's just awesome, isn't it? Let's have another. That's nice, isn't it? I normally do these videos with the windows up so that you don't hear all the wind noise in the microphone. But I think I'm going to just have to do my best in post because I just want to hear some of this car, really. So away from the lights, it's actually relatively smooth. It's just those upshifts take so long, so long. Having a head-up display in 2006 is quite the achievement, I've got to say. Oh, it just sounds sensational, doesn't it? You could never, ever get bored of that noise. You really couldn't. The back likes to break loose. I just love the howl in this forest. Turning circle is, as you would expect for a big long car, not the best, but not terrible either. And the steering at this sort of lower speed isn't actually that bad. It's heavy, but it's heavy in a nice kind of BMW weighty way. What you do get is a lot of texture through things. I do get a sense of electrical gremlins in here though. I've had a few warning lights come on and go away. The parking sensors seem to randomly come on as well, even though there's no visible signs of damage to them. So yeah, I mean, I just, the reliability side of this is just terrifying to me, and I don't think I'd ever want to own one as a result of that, but it truly is something to experience though. Brakes are quite interesting. The pedals got quite a bit of travel, which I didn't really expect. I kind of thought they'd be like really solid. They definitely have a lot of stopping power though for a car of this weight, that's for sure. The gearbox also doesn't like it. If you're hard on the brakes, then you come back on the throttle, it's like lurches you around a little bit because it's not quite sure how to respond with the clutch. Oh, it's pops and bangs though. A bit jolty out of there. You can't really do anything subtle in this. The gearbox just isn't made for it. You can creep around quietly. Thing is, you get such a lot of feedback from the wheel. You know exactly what's going on with the car. Even when it starts to break loose, it feels really controllable, which is lovely. I think that because of the weight at the back of the car, I think if you were to, you know, lose it a little bit too far, it'd be quite hard to recover from. But thankfully, you've got enough texture for the wheel to know what's going on. The thing that's impressed me most about this though is just how normal it feels inside. I think if it wasn't for this gearbox, it would be a perfectly livable day-to-day car, but I think with all the reliability concerns and then also just the issues you're going to have around, you know, the day-to-day pottering around with this gearbox, I think that's the only reason why. But I think it's definitely one of those cars that's probably bottomed out in value now. Like, it's probably going to hold its money. They might even start going up. They're becoming more and more rare. They're very desirable. Enthusiasts love them. And the fact that you can just potter around in it, you know, whatever the weather, is a real bonus. I think the reliability would scare me off personally, and I really commend Joel for kind of his actions, being able to just daily this, and he's been running his little boy around in this and stuff like that, and that's a big thing for me. Like, I find that quite impressive because it really does take a little bit of courage to do such a thing. What I would definitely say is this is one of those cars that you should buy before it's too late. It's still got that analog real feel to it, the engine, the steering, the brakes, but yet it's still modern enough that you can drive it without feeling like it's too much of an inconvenience. So there we go guys, the BMW M6 V10, an iconic performance car, which I think has been a really exciting video to make. So I thank you guys for watching and giving me these opportunities. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And of course, thanks to Joel for lending me the car for the day. His links will be in the description below. What a beast it is. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.